All right, welcome, 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 everybody. So glad to have you here for our Time to Tell the Truth weekly series. And we're excited because we've got a serious topic that I know I won't finish today. I'm going to have to divide this into at least two parts, if not three, because once I started going, you know how I do, I just couldn't get stopped. So, but we're excited to be here anyway because we know that we've kind of given a subtitle to this. You can't handle the truth. Yeah, because sometimes the truth really hurts, it cuts, but it informs. And that's what we are all about. My name is Dr. Roslyn Shaw Belt. For those of you that don't know who I am, everybody calls me Dr. Roz. I am the CEO of Dream to Life LLC and Incorporated. I'm a wife of Dr. Adrian E. Belt Sr. and a bunch of other stuff that the Lord has blessed me to do in my lifetime thus far. But here today, I'm focusing on being a certified wellness coach, not a medical doctor. My doctorate's in theology and divinity, but I always am intrigued by the information that I can find in the research and several of my mentors that I call them my mentors today, we're going to focus on the price and some things that he's sharing, and then we're going to expound on those things. So we're going to take off running. I believe this is going to be really instrumental because right now, sometimes there are things that we think are healthy, and we find out that they're not as healthy as we think. And that's the topic today. Do you know that it's really not healthy? All right, let's go.
The definition that food companies have for food and your grocery store has for food doesn't necessarily mean it's the definition that you should have for food or your body or your biochemistry has for food. See, for them, food is what you put in your mouth or you put on the ends of your fork and your spoons. But food is supposed to be real. It's supposed to come from a natural space. It's supposed to be naturally absorbed, metabolized, broken down, and then eliminated from the body. It's supposed to be free of chemicals. So with just those few things, and not even go into how it should nourish you and the ways that it should and what should be in those foods, probably 90% of the foods that you're buying at the supermarkets or in the drive-through window aren't foods. They're not food at all. They're food products. The
So how do you heal the body, Coach Rowe? How do you heal it? By healing the cell. That's how you heal the body. And then how do you heal the cell then, Coach Rowe? By eating the food that God made. And I know most of y'all thinking y'all eating God's food. And I'm here to tell you, you're eating lab experiments.
Lab
That's what you're eating.
experiments. We've heard that oftentimes when I did this, 32-part series on the one word foods. I think it was about 32 parts. But we're going to tackle some things today that we think are okay, and they may not be as okay as we think. One of those we're going to start with is leftover food. Now, most of us will stand right there in the refrigerator and look at some stuff that we have left over, 3-day-old pasta, and ask the same question, is this still okay to eat? And the answers are more nuanced and more surprising than we think, from food safety myths that we believe to the staggering environmental cost of what we throw away. Because we do throw away a lot of food. I never shall forget, I worked with my husband at a stadium once where they were doing a nonprofit thing where they handled the concession stand. And I saw them. They were the wieners. It was tons and tons and tons of wieners that were freshly made. And because they weren't bought, they were thrown away. So there's a lot of stuff that we environmentally do, and we should never really have a homeless or a foodless food shortage because of so much that we throw away. But leftovers, they do sit at the intersection of our health, our waste, and our everyday decision making. Every year, millions of Americans get sick from food that they thought was safe to eat. And leftovers they're convenient. But without proper handling, without proper storage and proper awareness, they can become a silent source of serious illness. Now, this is just one of the things we're going to talk about today. There are 8 that we're going to tackle of things that we think are healthy that may not be. And that's why I said I know I won't get to all 8 today, but let's get started.
Number 1 is leftovers. Okay. I've seen people keep leftovers in their refrigerator 7 to 10 days. All right. I'll tell you how long you should definitely not go over with leftovers. The reason why you should throw your leftovers away is because the longer they are in your refrigerator, the more they're accumulating bacteria and ultimately gonna make you sick. Everything from the rice and pasta that is very prone to bacteria, to a lot of the meats that people are eating out there, so many different things. It's very important that you understand that no matter what those leftovers are, they should be removed from your refrigerator within, I would say, 48 hours. Others would say 3 to 4 days, okay? You should not keep leftovers in your refrigerator very long at all. That food begins to break down. And when you consume that food, you're consuming something that is now fermenting and rotting, even though you can't see it, okay? And so leftovers, within 2 hours of making the food, you should either refrigerate it or freeze it. Now, if you freeze it, of course, it's gonna last longer, but within 2 hours, you should either refrigerate it or freeze it, all right? Now, I know all of those rules you have probably broken, but that's a really good rule to set. Within 2 hours, I would say within an hour. Once you know you're not gonna eat it that night, you should go ahead and refrigerate it or freeze it. And then secondarily, it should not be in there for longer than, in my opinion, no longer than 2 days, all right? So leftovers, number 1. I see a lot of people get food poisoning and people end up with stomach viruses and they don't know why, because they ate this food the other day, there was no problem. It's because and it's a problem.
So let's talk about that, number 1.
All right, so
Let's
that's
talk
number 1.
about the myths, because science will bust some of those myths. Leftover food is surrounded by our folklore, passed down at dinner tables for generations. And some of it is harmless, some of it is genuinely dangerous. But here's what science actually says. The myth: hot food must cool before refrigerating. How many of us thought that? Well, leaving hot food on the counter to cool down creates the perfect environment for bacterial growth. Wow. The USDA says refrigerate within 2 hours. Did Dr. Prince just say that? Dr. Price. Matter of fact, he said, if you know you're not going to eat it, right? What are we doing? Smaller portions cool faster inside the fridge. Here's another myth. Reheating it kills all bacteria. Now, reheating can kill active bacteria, but it cannot neutralize toxins already produced by bacteria. Once toxins form, no amount of heat makes that food safe again. And then here's another myth. Frozen food lasts forever. Forever? That's the operative word. Freezing halts the bacteria growth, but it does not halt the quality degradation. See, most foods decline in texture and flavor after 3 to 6 months, even if technically safe indefinitely at 0 degrees Fahrenheit. So we have to wrestle with some of these myths, because guess what, guys? Leftovers can become dangerous. And the bacteria thrive in what food safety experts call the danger zone. That's the temperatures between 40 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And within this range, harmful bacteria like Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria can double in number every 20 minutes. Cooked food left at room temperature for more than 2 hours enters dangerous territory fast. I just gave you the danger zone. Let's deal with the 2-hour rule. Hot food must be refrigerated within 2 hours of cooking, or within 1 hour if the ambient temperature exceeds 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's not based on what we smell. How many of us do it? It smells okay. You cannot smell, you cannot see dangerous bacteria. Food that looks and smells fine can still make you seriously ill. And sometimes we've eaten something and we did not know how we were sick, what made us sick, what made us nauseous, what made us have loose bowels. We don't even know what it was. And it could have likely been bacteria that had already been there in food that we ate later, left over. So proper storage is important. It's your first and most powerful defense against foodborne illnesses. Following these guidelines consistently can mean the difference between a safe meal and a trip to the emergency room, or should I say a trip to the toilet? Yes. So what do they say? Use shallow, airtight containers. Divide large portions into shallow containers so that the food cools quickly and evenly. I often have to change things in my own household. If I fix a big, huge pot of soup, I don't want a whole big pot in the refrigerator. I want to break it down, put it into smaller containers, and then freeze it. Shallow containers so the food can cool quickly and evenly. Airtight lids prevent the cross-contamination and slow bacterial growth inside the refrigerator. Put some labels on it. Label with the date. Always write the storage date on your containers. Most cooked leftovers are only safe for 3 to 4 days in the refrigerator. And then if you're in doubt, throw it out, right? When in doubt, throw it out. The cost of food is never, ever worth the cost of your health. And then freeze what you won't eat soon. I mean, sometimes we know you're not going to eat it all right now. So, okay, let's put it in the freezer, save it for another day, save it for next week. If you don't plan to eat leftovers within 4 days, freeze them immediately. Properly frozen food stays safe indefinitely through quality diminishes, though the quality diminishes after 2 to 6 months for most cooked foods. Then we're going to reheat them, right? We want to do them the right way. Now, everybody doesn't have necessarily a food thermometer, but insert a thermometer if you have one into the thickest part of the food and confirm that it's 165 degrees Fahrenheit before you're eating. And then here's something: reheating food incorrectly is just as dangerous as storing it wrong. Reheating it repeatedly and cooling food gives bacteria repeated opportunities to multiply. Only reheat what you plan to eat immediately. And then the microwave. Well, I don't like the microwave. We've done some teachings regarding the microwave, but if you're using the microwave, stir your food midway through the microwave, let it stand for a minute, and microwave because they heat unevenly and they'll leave the cold spots where the bacteria can survive. So we've got critical internal temperatures, again, if you're using a thermometer, and these are safe temperatures by the USDA food safety guidelines. So you want to make sure you have a calibrated thermometer, but your action plan is to stay safe. Starting today, for those of you that do leftovers, yes, many of us do. I do it because leftovers are a part of our daily routine for my husband's lunch, right? Food safety isn't complicated. We don't have to make this complicated. Cool it fast. Refrigerate cooked food within 2 hours, divide it into small, shallow containers. Label everything. Date every container. Discard the refrigerated leftovers after 3 to 4 days without exception. Reheat to a certain temperature. Stir it if you're putting it in the microwave. When in doubt, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out. No leftover is worth a foodborne illness. And if you're not sure how long it's been stored, just get rid of it. Just get rid of it. The CDC estimates 48 million Americans suffer from foodborne illnesses each year. 128,000 are hospitalized and 3,000 die. So safe leftover habits are not optional. They save lives. So our second task today is the truth about what we drink. Because every sip counts, from sports drinks to fruit juice to zero sugar alternatives. The beverages that we choose each and every day have a profound impact on our health, far more than most people realize. So let's cut through all the marketing noise and let's show you exactly what's in your glass, why liquid sugar hits your body differently than natural sugar, and what to drink instead. Now, we've done a full teaching of series on just sugar by itself and where it is, where it is, where it is. Where is it? It's everywhere. But let's talk about it in the respect that sometimes we think something is healthy and it's not as healthy as we think.
Number two, the sugary drinks that you have in your home, or the ones that say they don't have sugar in them and they're zero drinks. Get rid of them. They're all trash. As a matter of fact, probably one of the more popular ones is Gatorade. And Gatorade is banned in many countries outside of the US. Like absolutely banned. So energy drinks, pre-workout drinks, check the actual sugars in them, check the ingredients, start to do a little rabbit hole deep dive on them, and you'll see why I'm saying it. All right. I won't go into too much details, but what I could tell you is if you can get rid of those drinks, first of all, you don't want to be drinking liquid calories in the form of sugar. All right. The best way to have sugar is when it has fiber attached to it. All right. It's like eating fruit. Yes, fruit has sugar in it, but it has fiber attached to those sugars. So when they go into the body, they're literally broken down in a very slow and methodical way that it doesn't spike your blood sugars, which means that it doesn't spike your insulin levels. All right. So you don't want these sugary drinks in the home as well, too. And you definitely do not want your kids drinking these type of drinks. Okay. The best type of drink, in my opinion, to have is coconut water. After that is water. Okay. You know, green juices, those are good. Okay. But these product type drinks that are most often sugary and loaded with a ton of chemicals and loaded with electrolytes that are synthetic, that your body doesn't recognize, which means it can't utilize, which means it can't absorb it or metabolize it, get rid of them. All right. That's a large reason why a lot of people are large too. Sugary calories in the form of liquid.
Sugary calories in the form of liquid. See, the thing is here, we need to understand this. And I know we've heard it, but we need to break it down and make sure we understand it. Because when sugar is dissolved in a liquid, it bypasses your body's normal satiety signals. In other words, that you're getting full. It bypasses that. It doesn't let you know you're getting full. So your stomach doesn't register the calories the way solid food does. So then you want more. And so you can consume larger amounts of the sugar without ever feeling full. So one bottle of sports drink or one soda can contain 40 to 65 grams of sugar, yet you're still hungry an hour later and you drink another. You know, I've seen people drinking one can of Coke after another, or one, bottle of sports drink after another. And so what happens inside your body is the blood sugar spikes rapidly within minutes of drinking. The pancreas floods the body with insulin to compensate, and then energy crashes following the spike, triggering what? More cravings. And that happens repeatedly, promoting insulin resistance over time. Excess sugar is stored as fat, especially around the liver, and then you're labeled as a diabetic. And we see this. I mean, it's advertised, it's in our face. We're giving it to our young people. We're giving it to our young athletes. Now, and it doesn't just come in one form. We're giving it, our students are taking it to stay up all night long, to cram for an exam. All of these things are happening, but we don't recognize what's happening over time. And so Gatorade, I mean, it's been around, man, and people have ended up with really, really disastrous situations in their body, health problems, because of Gatorade and energy drinks and all these vitamin waters and health drinks. And these products are aggressively marketed. But for the average person, they do far more harm than good. Let's talk about Gatorade. 32-ounce bottle, 56 grams of sugar, more than most candy bars. Can you believe that? More than most candy bars? I mean, you'd rather go get a candy bar than drink a bottle of Gatorade. It was originally designed for elite athletes during their 90 minutes of intense training, but now it's just being consumed by children at soccer practice, children at flag football practice, and office workers at their desks. And then brands like the Red Bull and Monster, up to 54 grams of sugar per can, and that can is not that large. And this combination stresses the heart, disrupts sleep, creates dependency cycles. The American Academy of Pediatrics warns children should never consume them. And then the vitamin water. We just got to look at it. We think because it says vitamin water, it's good for us. Contains 32 grams of sugar per bottle. And the added vitamins are present in negligible amounts. See, do you know that if they just add a little bit of vitamin, it's considered to be vitamin water? You'd get far more nutrition from an actual piece of fruit with none of that sugar overload. Check this out. Let me go back. Let's see if I can get it to play. Okay, I couldn't get that to play, but the guy was actually doing a demonstration of what's actually in Gatorade. I mean, all the different things, and he was putting tons and tons of sugar in that jug, the same size Gatorade bottle. He was putting a lot of sugar in there and all the other things that make up the Gatorade. But it's basically liquid sugar. Now, not all sugar is created equal, and the way sugar is packaged in nature matters enormously to your body. So let's look at this. Liquid sugar versus natural sugar, because there are certain fruits that we're told if you're diabetic, you should stay away from that fruit. But yet and still sometimes we're drinking certain things that we don't even realize that are causing those spikes. The liquid sugar hits the bloodstream fast, no fiber, no signal to say that you're full. It causes insulin spikes. It's stored as fat easily. But if you just get natural sugar in the whole fruit, the one-word foods that we've been teaching on for weeks after weeks after weeks, so we've gone through so many one-word foods. When you eat a whole apple, fiber physically slows the release of sugar into your bloodstream, preventing that spike. And then your body processes it gradually. We even talked about bananas. We recognized there were certain bananas that are more green than yellow. Remember that? For those that are diabetics and you're told you can't have a banana. But we talked about if you get the green, more green than yellow, all of a sudden now, if you go all the way till it's ripe and it's brown, got little brown spots on it, really, really ripe, now, yeah, that's going to spike it because that means it's really, really sweet. Say, for instance, when you drink apple juice, even if it says 100% pure, there's no fiber. And so the sugar hits your blood almost as fast as drinking a soda. The food matrix matters just as much as the sugar content itself. So that's why the whole fruit gets a pass. See, fruit is not your enemy because studies confirms that eating whole fruit is associated with lowering the risk of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. And if we were to look at the diet of the average diabetic, we would see very little fruit in their diet. Fruit contains natural sugars. The difference lies in what comes packaged with that sugar. Is it water, fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals that work together to regulate the absorption and nourish your cells? And that's why whole fruit, eating 2 whole oranges gives you fiber and fullness. Drinking 2 glasses of orange juice gives you 50 grams of sugar and keeps you hungry. Fiber slows down absorption. Antioxidants protect the cells. Satiety hormones activate. Chewing and fiber trigger hormones like GLP-1. We talked about that, I think, last week, that signal fullness. That's what we want. We want to eat and we want to feel full, so we stop eating. But we don't want to eat and never feel full, and we keep on eating. Now, Dr. Price talked about coconut water. And as I began to do some research, it was called Nature's Sports Drink. It's coconut water is one of the most genuinely beneficial beverages you can choose, as long as you pick the right kind. You want natural electrolytes, rich in potassium, magnesium, and sodium, without the artificial colors, without the dyes, without the added sugars found in the commercial sports drinks. You want pure coconut water that contains roughly 9 to 12 grams of natural sugar per cup, far less than Gatorade's 21 grams per 12 ounce. And this comes with fiber, antioxidants, and cytokinins with anti-aging properties. So what do we have to do? Yep, we got to do it. We got to do it. We got to read the label. We've got to read the label and choose brands with no added sugar, and coconut water is the only ingredient. Many flavored varieties. They add juice concentrate. What does that do? Pushes the sugar content up. Harmless Harvest and Vito Coco Pure are solid choices. But you all know this. You know, you've heard us talk about it. Water is the gold standard. Nothing beats water. Don't shoot the messenger. Somebody says, I just don't like water. Nothing beats water. Pray and ask God to help you like water, because your body is made of water. It's the only beverage your body is perfectly designed for. And whether you like it or not, your body craves for it. It hydrates every single cell. It flushes toxins through the kidneys. It regulates your body temperature. It lubricates your joints. And it supports virtually every metabolic process. And guess what you get? 0 calories, 0 sugar, and 0 additives. And most adults need 8 to 10 cups a day. And if you're in the heat, or you're doing exercise, you need even more. So even replacing just one sugary drink. Now I'm talking to the person right now who doesn't drink water. If we can just start replacing one sugary drink per day with water, that's working up to 10 to 15% reduction in your overall sugar intake. You gotta start somewhere. And even if you don't like plain water, here's what you do. If you're struggling with plain water, you're not by yourself. And I'm not beating you over the head because you just have a hard time with water. Well, here's the good news. There are delicious sugar-free ways to stay hydrated. Infuse that water. Add something to it. Cucumber, lemon, mint, berries, ginger. Add it to the pitcher of cold water. Let it sit overnight for that flavor. All the refreshment, but no sugar. That's the easiest upgrade you can make. Sparkling water. Plain or lightly flavored sparkling water, like plain LaCroix or Topo Chico, gives you the fizz, okay? Like you drinking the soda, but 0 sugar. Check, we don't want any sweeteners. We don't want any artificial or otherwise added. And then you've got herbal teas. Hot tea, iced tea, unsweetened herbal teas. Go ahead, peppermint, chamomile, hibiscus. Those are hydrating. They're flavorful. and loaded with antioxidants. And you can brew a big batch and refrigerate it for a ready-to-drink healthy alternative throughout the day. And I'm going to say it again. I challenge every person that's having a problem with water to pray and ask God to help you like water. And He will help your taste buds. I promise you, it will happen if you desire for that to take place, because your body's made of water, it's desiring water, it needs water. So we got to understand that these beverages are among the most common sources of the American diet. We're disguised and we think we're sometimes doing healthy options. Yeah, they throw healthy options on all of these things, on the sodas and the sports drinks and the energy drinks and the fruit juices and the coffees and the teas. They'll throw a healthy option on there and we think we're doing something right. Even some things like kombucha with added juice, flavored kefir drinks, or eco smoothies, some of those can contain 30 to 50 grams of sugar per serving. So always read the nutrition label before assuming that the drink is healthy. Now we've got Gatorade without the sugar. Yeah, it's called G0, Gatorade Zero.
Gatorade you now drink will be without sugar because Gatorade Zero is coming out in stores this week. This is what it looks like. It doesn't have any sugar or carbs, they say. Gatorade says it's a good thing. They say it's time for sugary sports drinks to wind down. Gatorade Zero will compete directly with Powerade Zero, also a sugar-free sports drink.
Gatorade Zero. Wow. And that's going to grab a lot of people's attention. And they'll feel like, okay, now I can drink Gatorade. But don't let the word zero fool you. Zero sugar doesn't always mean healthy. Zero anything doesn't always mean healthy, because Gatorade Zero, they replace sugar with artificial sweeteners and still contains artificial colors and other processed ingredients. Unless you're an endurance athlete and you're losing a lot of fluids through heavy sweating, your body usually needs water, not sports drinks. Yeah, Gatorade Zero, no grams of sugar, zero grams of sugar. But oh my God, the artificial colors and the artificial sweeteners, typically sucralose. And you know, we've talked about the artificial sweeteners and what they do to our body. So zero sugar, it's a trap. Low sugar, it's a trap. I've seen people eat a big old plate and then they go get a Diet Coke. Like you're doing something, a zero sugar sports drink. Come on now. Look at that label. Science tells a more complicated story. Artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, saccharin can actually disrupt your gut microbiome balance. That's the technical stuff. They can trigger insulin responses in some people without actually providing calories, confusing your body's metabolic signals. Studies like chronic diet soda consumption has higher rates of cravings, overeating, and paradoxically, weight gain. Other concerns are the acidity still damages your teeth. The diet sodas are still highly acidic. Zero sugar Gatorade still contains artificial dyes, high sodium. Natural flavors are rarely natural. And this catch-all labeling can legally include hundreds of synthetic compounds with no disclosure required. So the simple blueprint, and I am not, again, it's not beating you over the head. I get it. It's not necessarily easy to quit cold turkey. So here's my challenge. Write down all the sugary drinks you do, the sugary drinks you have. And let's just swap, replace one with water. Or choose coconut water or electrolyte water. But make water the default habit. Drink it freely, water, sparkling water, herbal teas. Let's do it. 100% fruit juice, kombucha, low sugar, black coffee, green tea. Let's do that occasionally and avoid, and let's eliminate soda, energy drinks, sports drinks, sweetened teas, flavored lattes, diet soda. So the next thing I want to tackle, let's see if I have time to tackle this, about oils. We think we're doing good because we've moved from Crisco. Remember Crisco back in the day? Crisco on grandmama's stove, to that fancy imported olive oil at Whole Foods. And the oils we cook with have a bigger story than we've ever been told. So let's break it down. I think I've got time to break this down. I won't get through all 8, and we won't be here next week, but we'll be here the week after, so we can really get through all 8 of these healthy things that we think are healthy. So let's talk about the oils.
Number 3, seed oils, vegetable oils. All right. Now, when I say vegetable oils, a lot of people will say, well, I thought vegetables were good. They are. But most of the seed oils and vegetable oils have been taken through a process where so many chemicals have been used to not only process these oils, but to make these oils not rancid so that they don't smell, and to make them look a certain color. They become dangerous at that point. They're loaded with, instead of having omega-3s that put out inflammation, they're loaded with omega-6s that create inflammation. So get rid of the seed oils. Look at the oil that you're using, all right? Even if it's olive oil, if you don't have at least extra virgin, organic, cold pressed olive oil, you probably don't have a good olive oil. It's probably one of the most black market oils on the market, olive oil. Okay, so you just want to be very careful. And you want to be very careful about using oil in general, in terms of like using too much of it. You take about 4 teaspoons of oil, 4 to 5 teaspoons of oil, tablespoons. You're talking about 1,000 calories, tablespoon wise. All right, so you just want to be very careful with those, especially when they're not good oils. So imagine what it's like when you're putting 5 tablespoons of bad oils in your body. Okay, so throw that out, get some good oils. A good oil would be like avocado oil. Would be another example would be like coconut oil. Okay, if you can get a real good extra virgin, cold press, organic olive oil, then good. But most of the time I don't see them in the supermarket. All right, so that's number 3. Trash it. Seed oils, vegetable oil, get rid of it. It's probably causing your high blood pressure, it's causing your heart disease, it's causing the inflammation in your body. It could even cause diabetes, all right, and a fatty liver disease as well.
So we think we're doing the right thing. Not all cooking oil is the same. There's a difference. But not all of them come from the same place. And that's the distinction that matters more than we just realize, because they fall in 2 categories: fruit and nut oils, and then seed oils. So the fruit and nut oils are made by pressing the fleshy part of the fruit, like olives, avocados, or coconuts. That's minimally processing naturally stable and rich in healthy fats. And they've been around for thousands of years. Then you got seed oils extracted from the seed, the canola, the soybean, the sunflower, the corn, the cottonseed. That requires chemical solvents, high heat, and deodorization to become clear, tasteless oils that we see on the shelf, high in omega-6 fatty acids, which in excess promotes inflammation. So it's about the processing. The processing does matter. It's the source only. It's what separates a health-promoting oil from one that may quietly work against you. So the olive oil, even the olive oil, and I had seen this before, how people in other countries would never use our olive oil. I was talking to somebody who told me about how they tried olive oil and it was like so different. It tasted so different. So here's the truth. The olive oil you buy in the United States, it's held to a weaker standard than what's sold in Europe, in Italy, in Greece, in Spain. Extra virgin means strictly cold pressed with low acidity, tested for purity. And fraud is prosecuted. In the US, labeling rules are so far more relaxed. Voluntary grading is not required by law. Some extra virgins are diluted with cheaper oils, can be blended, refined, or old, still labeled as EVOO. Minimal testing or enforcement at the retail level. In the European markets, it's strict. Chemical testing for purity and acidity, oxidation, mislabeling is a criminal offense. So we got to pay attention. We got to look for California Olive Ranch or bottles with harvest date, not just a best buy date, a PDO or DOP seal. You see that seal right there? Let's start looking for that seal on the bottles. And then different oils have different smoke points. The temperature at which they start breaking down and releasing those harmful compounds. It's important. It's important to match the right oil to the right cooking method. That's one of the most practical things you can do for your health and your food's flavor. If you're talking about high heat cooking, searing, stir frying, deep frying, best pick is what? Avocado oil. If you're doing everyday sauteing, that's your best pick, extra virgin olive oil. And when you're talking about just drizzling, no heat or finishing, drizzling over your dressings and your dips and your finishings, high quality extra virgin olive oil or flaxseed oil or walnut oil. And then also for sauteing, you can use butter or ghee. That's a great flavor everyday work, of course. But the oils don't have to break your budget, because that was important to me as I was thinking about these oils, because yes, they can get expensive. So everybody can say, well, I just can't afford to get certain oils. But healthy cooking oils don't have to be expensive. Sometimes we can swap, and that can make a real difference without draining the wallet. We don't want to drain the wallet, but yet we want to be concerned. We want to eat healthy. And then if you got to pay a little bit more, isn't it worth it for your health? Value first. So the extra virgin, it may be about $8 to $12 for a solid bottle. Widely, they said, available at Target and Walmart and Kroger. You can see a variety of things, but buy the smallest bottle you'll use in 2 months. If you don't use as much as we would use when we used to use Crisco back in the day. The avocado oil at Costco or Sam's Club, you can buy it in bulk, makes avocado oil genuinely affordable. Chosen Foods brand is widely trusted. Neutral flavor, incredibly high smoke point. To use it for olive oil would burn. Then you got coconut oil. Best for baking and occasional frying. Great for baking, occasional frying, and dishes that welcome that subtle sweetness. $6 to $10 for the refined, $10 to $14 for virgin, and then just completely skip the vegetable oil. Usually it's a blend. It's some kind of blend of soybean and corn and cottonseed. It's heavily refined. It's ultra high in omega-6s. The price looks right, but the health math doesn't add up over time. You're going to pay for it over time. So at least swap for just a pure single source of oil. And as I was doing this, and I was just thinking to myself, I remember that Crisco can. I'm like, well, where did that Crisco and all that vegetable oil come from? Because that's the cheapest. That always has been and still is. And it deserves a conversation, because that oil defined our Black American kitchens. Crisco, generic vegetable oil, lard substitutes. It didn't get here by accident. It's been intentional. And when you understand the history, it helps us to make some different choices, because it also kind of makes me mad. But before the 20th century, Black Southern cooks used lard, butter, and animal fat. The same fats that their ancestors and neighbors used. These were whole, natural fats that had fed families for generations. Then in 1911, Procter & Gamble introduced Crisco, the first mass market hydrogenated vegetable shortening. It was cheaper than lard, shelf stable, and it marketed heavily as a cleaner and more modern. And advertising, aggressive advertising campaigns, including targeted outreach to communities with less disposable income, made Crisco a stable in working class and Black households across America. Then post-World War II, industrial seed oils like soybean, corn, cottonseed flooded the market as cheap byproducts of agriculture, and they were promoted as heart-healthy alternatives to that saturated fat, a claim that has since been heavily contested by nutrition scientists. But they targeted us. Yes, they targeted us. Crisco vegetable oil, it was actively sold in our families, in our grandmothers' homes. And as we became more educated, we realized that we were victims. So we don't need to overhaul your entire pantry. Start with one swap. The goal isn't perfection, it's information and then progress. So instead of vegetable oil, get that extra virgin olive oil for everyday cooking, or avocado oil when cooking hot. Instead of Crisco, try butter, ghee, or coconut oil for baking and frying. When buying olive oil, look for a harvest date, a single country of origin, and ideally a California or a DOP seal. Grandmother's cooking with what they had and what they were sold. We cook with what we know, so let's pass it on. I'm going to stop here. We're going to get into some labels, some things we're looking at the labels that we don't understand. And next week, week after next, we'll get into that, because there's so many things that we think are healthy, that we think we're doing the right thing, and don't recognize, oh man, I can't believe, because it's eye-opening when you think you're right, you're trying to do what's right, and then you recognize that it really isn't.